there, lovelies. So, I've got the coffee on. Why don't you grab a cup of coffee or something, whatever you like, and we can have a little chat. Nothing monumental, but just bits and bobs, you know what I'm like. So I went to the shops this morning, and I did get some more nasturtiums. So I'm going to be putting all these in soon. So I've got nasturtiums, cornflower, bee balm, cosmos, and petunias. That's what I've got for seeds now. But in the greenhouse, I've got some stuff already going. Snapdragons, sweet peas, you know, that kind of thing. So you know what? You know what I found this morning? Hang on. Well, I bought these cups and saucers. Really lovely they are. I did a little video on these, and I thought I'd wash them and put them away because I only use them, you know, now and again. Should use them all the time, really, shouldn't I? But anyway, so and I got one out this morning to get my coffee, and there was solidified sugar in the bottom, right in the bottom. I had to soak it with boiling water to get it out. Sugar. Now, is that sugar from the 1800s, like the late 1800s, early 1900s? It could be antique sugar. How about that? So you never know, do you? You never know what's, you know. And these, I know I keep banging on about this, but these turned out to be 25 pence each for the cup and the saucer. So I bought 4 for £1. Amazing. They're really, really, really pretty. Very, very pretty. But anyway, so there we are. So I also treated myself. I don't often treat myself, especially to perfume. Perfume, it's got to be just something that I just can't do without. So what I did was I went to Boots. This was a couple of weeks back. I went to Boots and I tried on this perfume. And it's really heavy. It's like metal. It's not glass. It feels like metal. I'll show you a close-up in a minute. And it's by Kylie Jenner. And it is absolutely gorgeous. So I tried the perfume on. I think it was £35 for that little bottle, which isn't too bad these days. Perfume can be £100 and odd pounds, you know. Don't know if you've ever shopped perfume. But anyway, so when I was in Boots a couple of weeks back, I tried it on and I sprayed it onto my coat arm. And I couldn't stop thinking about every time I went in the porch, I could smell this perfume. And all I can say is it's spicy and it's lemony, citrusy both at the same time. Yeah. And anyway, so I kept thinking about this perfume. And my husband went into the opticians in Boots. I was waiting for him and I said, oh, shall I go and price that perfume? He said, yeah, just go and get it. Because he is good like that. And I thought, I'm not getting it if it's £100. And I expected it being £100, you know, these designers. Anyway, and it was not. This is a small bottle, mind. There's a big bottle for 65. But I thought, I'll get this. So I got it. And I'm glad I did because it's not often that a perfume sort of really, really haunts me that I absolutely love. But I do love that one. So, Kylie Jenner, if you're in Boots, give it a spray and, you know, see what it's like. It's absolutely lovely. What have you lot been up to? There's not much you can do, is there, in the garden these days, just at the minute. I mean, don't get me wrong, everything's coming up. There's, you know, all kinds of things coming up. All the bulbs are coming up for a start, and all the shrubs are starting to get their lovely buds on. Won't be long before I'm out there like all the time, you know, gardening. But anyway, so I went to the grocery store as well this morning, and there was, I always sort of have a quick look on what is in. If I'm waiting in line, I always end up looking at what the people have got, the other people, and I can't get over the amount of that's just reminded me as well. I'll tell you in a minute, but I can't get over the amount of fast foods and convenience foods that people are buying, and it's a lot of young people, and it's no wonder we're all getting really fat because there's God knows what is in the foods. But anyway, you can't go wrong if you like. Do you remember? If you look at a video or a picture of people in say the 60s, especially the 50s and the 40s, but let's just go with 60s. There are no fat people. You never saw fat people. If you did, it was it was a really unusual thing to see a fat person, and there just weren't any. And now I'm seeing when I go into the supermarkets, or just not even the supermarket, but anywhere really, I'm seeing young people that are very, very overweight. And it's really, really alarming. I mean, I'm no skinny mini, but I try to keep. And we do eat healthily. Like, do you remember, when we were young, or when, if you were born, like, around the time that I was, 50s, 60s, we only went out to eat on special occasions, if that, and that was when I was a teenager and getting, older. But when I was a child, I don't remember ever going out to a restaurant and eating, ever. I mean, if you might have been privileged and you might have just been an only one or something like that. You might have, but most people that had, 2 or 3 kids, let alone 6, because I'm one of 6, but most people didn't. They only went out on special occasions. Now everybody's going out all the time. It doesn't have to be a special occasion. It's all the time that people are going out. It's unbelievable. And if they're not going out, they're having takeaways. I mean, yeah, we used to have fish and chips. It was a real big deal if you had fish and chips in the olden days, as I call them. But so what we do now is, I found some more. I'm all for growing things. I've not got the kind of garden that, unless I turned it into the kind. My garden is a little bit ornamental, if you like. Do you know what I mean? But if I had to, I could turn it into vegetable garden, But at the moment, I haven't got really room. It's all sort of what I call ornamental, and I like that kind of plant. I like that kind of plant. But I could, if I had to, turn it into if you had a massive plot. Oh yeah, I'd have beautiful raised veg beds, But anyway, but I do grow lettuce and all the herbs, the basil and the parsley and the thyme and I've started growing potatoes in big, containers. And it's amazing. Instead of, in your fridge, you've got a potato and it's all sprouting, it's all soft and horrible. So what do? You either put it in the compost, which I was doing for a while, because I don't waste anything, put it in the compost, or you put it in the bin. If you don't need compost, or you live in an apartment or something, you don't have a garden. So anyway, and then it goes in the bin. Well, I started putting them in buckets and things and big pots and just put them in. And then I found out that, the potatoes grow up the stalk. The potato in the bottom shoots, and then it produces a stem, and the potatoes come off that stem. So what you do is you keep banking up the soil. So you just put a little bit of soil in the bucket like that, put your potatoes on, and then just put a bit of soil on top of it like that, and leave it. And when the shoots come through, you could, if you got some more potatoes, you could put those there and just keep on and on and on in layers like that. And I've had some gorgeous, gorgeous new potatoes over the winter. Absolutely gorgeous. Back to this food malarkey. So I'm looking at all this convenience food, biscuits and crisp and, desserts and things like that. And mine's like got all veg in it and potatoes and just the coffee and the, that kind of thing, yogurts. And yogurt is the big treat around here. But anyway, and I was thinking, it is so easy to make a nutritious meal. It is easier than anything, all this buying it, and they're all overpriced and not very good. Just make your own. And for lunches, I think, have you ever tried mackerel fillets in tomato sauce? They're skinless and boneless, and they're in a little tin. They are on toast, I'm telling you, delicious. There's no skin, there's no bone, they're not fatty and horrible, they're in tomato sauce. And they are absolutely delicious. I have a lot of those, and they're full of omega-3 and really, really good for you. And it's as easy as opening the can and making some toast and putting them on. And, things like that. That's a scrambled egg on toast. How hard can that be? And put a sprinkle of cheese in it. My husband makes the most delicious meals. And what he made yesterday was like a risotto. Dead easy. Uncle Ben's rice, which is sort of already done for you, isn't it? If you don't want to use the dried rice and boil it and all that, he did the Uncle Ben's. He got some chicken breast, and chopped it up, and cooked it in garlic, butter, chives, and a little bit of soy sauce and a little bit of Worcester sauce. And he cooked that in a pan. And then he cooked his mushrooms in another pan, in garlic butter, probably, knowing him, but they were delicious. So you've got your chicken, you've got your mushrooms. And then he did his Uncle Ben's rice. And all this took, well, if it took 10 minutes, I'd be surprised. And then when he always cooks like this separate dish, the separate components, like he doesn't do them all together, he does them all separate, and then he puts them all together at the end. So he's got his chicken, he's got his rice, and he's got his mushrooms, and then it's all separate, then he puts them together. And I'm telling you, it was off the chart good. But things like that, and young people and a lot of people are not cooking like that. They're just not. And I don't know. I can't figure it out. It must cost them an absolute fortune to eat out and takeaways all the time. Even McDonald's and things like that. For two people, it's about £15 for McDonald's. You're better off going to Asda and getting some lovely minced steak and putting some onion in it, and forming it, chuck it in the air fryer, or in a pan, even a frying pan, and you've got some gorgeous burgers, steak burgers. But anyway, yeah, so talking about Asda, I'm going to put a picture up for you if I can find it. Unbelievable. A big wall, outside wall, came down at Asda the other day. It's a wonder it didn't kill anybody. I'll put a picture up, let you see. So they closed for a couple of days, I think, but it was amazing. So you had this brick wall outside, and it was like a fascia wall, and that just came crashing down. And there'd be people everywhere at Asda. How they didn't, I think it was at 10 o'clock in the morning as well. How it didn't kill somebody, because there was a pile of rubbish like that high. Bricks. Can you believe it? And the weird thing was that that very day, I had gone to Asda about 9 o'clock. It's about 9:15. So it was straight away after I'd left. Not that I would be walking past that, I don't think, because, the wall was there and the shop entrance was, say, there. And I would be on the car park and walk to the entrance. So, but there are people walking by there all the time to go to their cars if you park in that area. But anyway, so there you are. So that's all the excitement that happens in Cornwall, I'm telling you. The part of Cornwall that I'm in, anyway. Nothing much like, we're so lucky. The crime rate is so non-existent. I mean, that kind of thing happens. Or if a seagull sort of, poos on your car or something, that's the biggest crime we got. Which is, I'm not knocking it. That was brilliant, actually. Absolutely brilliant. I don't think I could live in a highly populated city. I couldn't do it. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about. So, I was thinking the other day about still talking about meals. I went to a girls' school, just girls, and it was a lovely school, honestly. And I'm not exaggerating. I don't remember once hearing about anybody doing something naughty, wrong. I'm talking about the secondary school now. And I don't ever remember anybody doing anything wrong. And I was thinking about the school was built around a garden. In the middle was a garden, and there were like nice benches in there that you could go and sit in there if you wanted to. And there was a lawn. And in this school, if it's in a square like that, quadrangle, and they had a grapevine that was planted outside, and it went in through a hole in the wall, and then it was all around this grapevine, and we had all grapes coming down, all grapes, and you could just help yourself to these grapes. They were green, I think, and they were lovely, and they didn't mind you having some grapes when they were ripe. And the teachers used to tell you, yeah, you can eat them now, And they were absolutely stunning all around this glass, gorgeous. It was like a greenhouse, it was, because it was all glass all the way around, gorgeous. But anyway, and I remember, the school is totally different than what today. They probably won't believe me. So we had a dining hall, and there were big long tables at this dining hall, about as long as this counter, I think. Over 6 foot anyway. And there were, you know, what would there be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the monitor. So let's say there were six or eight girls at this dining table, and the tables were all like that, all down the dining hall. And at the back here was the serving counter, and the back of that was the kitchen. And what happened was, if you were assigned to be a monitor, you got to serve out the meals. So the kitchen lady would bring this big stainless steel tray and put it at the end of the table with all the spoons and everything, and all everything in separate compartments. And the monitor would serve, and a big pile of plates. The monitor would serve out the meal, and you'd pass it down to the last one and then the monitor would serve her meal, and then take the tray back to the kitchen, to the counter, and sit down and eat. And I was thinking about this the other day when I was thinking about all this fast food and convenience food that everybody's buying and rubbish. And I was thinking, hang on, we never had, no wonder everybody was like not overweight. We never even had chips. They didn't do chips at all, or burgers or anything like that. We had like roast dinners, a chicken dinner with mashed potatoes and peas and carrots and cabbage. Oh, and then another day it would be a stew with mashed potatoes, and all the rest of it, peas and a different veg. And then the day after it might be something like roast beef with boiled potatoes and veg. And then it would be, but it was never chips and burger or chips and egg or chips and beans. We never had beans or eggs or anything. Not like that. And the sweets, so you had your meal, and it was all gorgeous food, really good food. And then you had your sweet. And the sweets were always things like sponge pudding and custard, rice pudding. I never liked that, but rice pudding, spotted dick pudding, chocolate cake with, might have been with a white sauce or something like that, what else? What else did we have? All that kind of thing. Fruit salad with cream. We had that. So you got all those different, and sometimes, an apple pie and cherry pie and that kind of thing with custard, usually with custard. So, and it was all made, the apples weren't canned, they were real apples. The pastry was all made, it's unbelievable. So did you have anything like that? What kind of school did you go to? Let me know in the comments. Did you go to a mixed school? Did you go to a girls' school? Did you go to a boys' school? Oh, and before I go, there was a boys' school in the town exclusively for boys, and their things were metalwork and and rugby and woodwork and that kind of thing. They learned skills, and football and stuff like that. Whereas we did, what did we do? We did hockey and we did netball. That were our two sports. But we learned how to sew. We learned how to embroider. We learned how to basket weave, how to cook. I loved it. Gorgeous, massive, great kitchen, all full of cookers, and benches and things. I absolutely loved my school. I loved every second of my school, and all my spending money I used to buy writing sets and fountain pens and ink cartridges and that kind of pencil cases, things like that. I used to buy. We had a little shop just around the corner. It was a newsagent shop, an old-fashioned one, and they used to sell all those things like that. So there we are, little chatty today. I'd love to know, let me know in the comments your experiences on whether you think you can see a massive change in people's weight. And I'm seeing like 19-year-olds and 18-year-olds and a lot of them, and not just girls, not just girls, a lot of boys as well. They're eating too much rubbish. But that is a sign of the times. Anyway, so lovely to chat to you, and sending love from the land of mist and legend. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.